As I said, I haven't had a chance to really go through the whole game. So we'll start off from the beginning. So we'll do a new save. I don't know what type of content is in it as a screen. Graphic novel. During your adventure, you will be asked to make choices that will define how your story progresses. When one of your decisions influences the personality of the main character, Alice, one or two symbols light up on the top of the screen. Spiral. Lightning. Spiral. In across the group, some of the scenes are sung. When that's the case, the lyrics will be displayed in special dialogue bubbles like this one. Of course, you can keep on reading at your own rhythm, but if you want to hear the full song, you'll have to adjust your reading speed to the rhythm of the lyrics. Some of the scenes are sung. In across the grooves, your progress is saved automatically. You won't be able to change the decisions you've made. Of course, you can keep on reading at your own rhythm, but if you want to hear the full song, you'll have to adjust your reading speed to the rhythm of the lyrics. In across the grooves, your progress is saved automatically. You won't be able to change the decisions you've made. Of course, you can keep on reading at your own rhythm, but if you want to hear the full song, you'll have to adjust your reading speed to the rhythm of the lyrics. In across the grooves, your progress is saved automatically. You won't be able to change the decisions you've made. Choose wisely. Jean-Baptiste Alice. Jean-Baptiste Alice. Okay, I'm just going to pull that from that. Okay, just gonna check here. Okay, just gonna check here. The interphone buzzes again as I'm putting on my blouse. Jean-Baptiste Alice, can you get that, please? At this time in the morning, it's probably delivery. I wonder what Jean Baptiste has ordered this time. The interphone buzzes again as I'm putting on my gloves. Jean Baptiste, Alice, can you get that, please? At this time in the morning, it's probably delivery. I wonder what Jean Baptiste has ordered this time. The interphone buzzes again as I'm putting on my gloves. Jean Baptiste, Alice, can you get that, please? At this time in the morning, it's probably delivery. I wonder what Jean Baptiste has ordered this time. Shut the door as I slip on my heels. After all, it's probably for him. Hear muffled grumbling and the sound of damp footsteps going down the corridor. I've moved to the kitchen and I'm making myself a coffee when Jean Baptiste comes back, brandishing a flat square package. It's a little disheveled, his shirt unbuttoned. I notice a blob of shaving foam on his right cheek. I signed this for you. I signed for you. I've moved to the kitchen and I'm making myself a coffee when Jean Baptiste. He slides the parcel over the table toward me. Do you know what it is? It's a little disheveled, his shirt unbuttoned. I notice a blob of shaving foam on his right cheek. I signed this for you. I signed for you. He slides the parcel over the table toward me. Do you know what it is? I think it's a record of vinyl. The shape of the package is so distinctive that my guess is almost certainty, and the handwriting leaves me no possible doubt. I recognize the hesitant, disjointed handwriting of Ulysses, a record store owner with whom I shared several years of my life before I met Jean Baptiste, a little over 3 years ago. As I've had no news from Ulysses since the night we split up, getting a package from him is unexpected, to say the least. Jean Baptiste gives me a quizzical stare. Tell him the truth. I think it was Ulysses who sent it to me. Your ex? Yes, I'm just as surprised as you are. I swear I haven't been in contact with him at all since we broke up. Jean Baptiste moves closer and strokes his fingers gently through my hair. You should open it. Maybe there's a note, an explanation. He was part of your life for a long time, and you were part of his. I guess if he's decided to contact you now, it's something important. You're right. I've got to run. My father has some big Chinese clients coming to the castle at lunchtime. I have to organize the meeting with the cellar master. He plants a quick kiss on my lips. Shall we meet up at the Brazier this evening? I might finish late. I remember that we've planned dinner this evening with my brother and my sister-in-law. Alice, yes, okay, let's meet there, it's easier. I wait, listening to his footsteps go down the stairs and fade before I return to the kitchen to open the package. I need a little privacy to deal with the intrusion of this ghost from my past. I grab a chef's knife from the workshop and slide it along the fold, cleanly slicing the seal of brown packing tape. Inside there's a record, a 45, a 7-inch as the English call them. It's protected by a new sleeve, white card without anything written that could give me some idea of what actually pressed in the grooves. Okay. Okay. Okay, let me just stop that. Okay. Okay. Now we'll go, knowing Ulysses' passion for rare records, it's probably a white label, a test pressing sent to the record company by the factory to check the track order and general sound quality before mass producing record. I carefully slide the record out of its jacket. There's no label in the middle to tell me more of its contents. What I suppose to be the A side is cut in one single piece, which leaves one suppose that it's a 45. As for the B side, it's bare of any grooves. The black shiny surface of the record seems to reflect my confusion back at me. Why? And particularly why now? It's been more than 3 years since Ulysses vanished from my life. 3 years without a word. What could have driven him to send me a record now without the least explanation? I checked the clock on the wall above the door. I still have 15 minutes before I need to leave for the office, which leaves me plenty of time to listen to the record, which can't last more than about 5 minutes, maybe 7, 8 maximum. I pick up the packaging to put it in the wastebasket and take a moment to inspect it again, checking there's no note or anything hidden in a fold. Nothing. And no return address either. The postmark tells me that the parcel was posted from Paris the 10th arrondissement. I think I got that right. I take the record, then hesitate again. Do I really want to revisit the past now before work? Or wouldn't it be better to wait till this evening? Go to work. It's been 3 years since I heard from Ulysses. It can wait a few more hours. And anyway, I'm not sure I really want to revisit the past. I decide to leave the record where it is for the moment. I put my coat on and leave the apartment. During the short walk from my apartment to my office, I try to organize my thoughts. I try not to think about Ulysses. It's ancient history. I'm in a stable relationship. I've got a good job. There's no reason for me to be shaken up like this. I'm happy with Jean-Baptiste. I go to the bank, say hi to Martine on the counter, then I shut myself in my office. There's a large stack of files on my desk. I decide to get straight to work on them. Despite that, I can't stop myself from thinking about Ulysses, about the record. The day seems never ending. I leave the office right on time and hurry home. I shrug off my coat and I go get the record, which since this morning has patiently waited for me on the kitchen table. I go to the living room. The hi-fi has been regulated to a corner of the room behind the couch. As I lift the cover of the turntable, dust floats up into the room. Jean-Baptiste prefers the background noise of the TV, so naturally I've stopped listening to music since we moved in together. I plug the headphones and put them over my ears.
The night is above me. Under a lane of cobblestone, glittering in the drizzling rain. I take the last turn on my cigarette. A door opens, a door opens. One pulls out through a crack, a distant trumpet rolls louder. A thunderstorm, you look at me, inviting me. I follow you inside to draws my pain, to draws my pain. In this sea of others, together, back and alone. You tear me apart. I'm shrinking, you're the one who grows distant. But it's me who's shrinking. I'm becoming someone else in your absence. Still together, already alone.
Ulysses? He turns and gazes at me sadly. I remember this evening perfectly. This is the day I met Jean-Baptiste. And this is the day Ulysses and I said goodbye. For weeks our relationship had been withering away. I think we both knew that sooner or later it was coming to an end. He was eking out a living with his record store, and me, I'd already started to want something else. That was the evening he left me. Yes, I just came to see if you were okay. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry too. Ulysses lowers his eyes, remorseful. I'm going to go. This was a bad idea. I shouldn't have come here tonight. He goes out the door and moves away. For a moment I falter. Perhaps I should let him go, as he does in my memory. I should push away push my way to the bar, order a double whiskey, and let Jean-Baptiste buy it for me, then go for coffee with him a few days later. Ulysses? He stops and looks at me startled. In a few strides, I catch up with him. What a strange dream. Why did you send me a record? A record? I didn't send you any record. Yes, you did. It arrived this morning. White sleeve, no label. Does that ring a bell? Ulysses looks terrified. You weren't supposed to listen to it. Listen, Alice. You have to go back to the bar. You have to do everything like the first time, like in your memory. There may be still time to avoid disaster. What disaster? Ulysses, please tell me. I need to understand. Everything I've done, I did for you. Trust me, Alice, I promise you don't want to know more. Around us, the world is beginning to break apart. It's too late. I hear rhythm far away. It rushes toward me like a galloping horse. I'm engulfed by the music once more.
You're tearing me apart. I'm shrinking. You're the one who grows these ends. But it's me who's shrinking. I'm becoming someone else in your absence. Breathing in, breathing out. The variations of me, I take myself apart. I'm shrinking, I stretch my wings out. I'm someone else, and then I'm myself again.
Hey, Bordeaux. I stay where I'm at, sat by the record player, the stylus circling the central groove on an unceasing hiss in my ears. Did I fall asleep? What happened? I take off the headphones and replace the tone arm on its rest. I check the time, 10 to 7. I still have a little time. I decide to take a shower and change for the evening. I haven't thought of Ulysses in months. I still don't know what went wrong between us. We were good together. I don't know what happened. As Lennon said, life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. I think in this case it was the absence of plans that destroyed us. I go to the kitchen and make a cup of tea. Even after a hot shower, my hands are still shaking. The experience I've just gone through has affected me like an electric shock. Towards the end, our relationship slowly disintegrated. Ulysses spent more and more time in his record store. I threw myself into my studies. Then I met Jean-Baptiste. It was easy, simple with him. I think I needed that. I got a job in a bank. We moved in together, Jean-Baptiste and I. We quickly settled into a routine. Weeks, months, years passed without me really noticing. Is this truly happiness, or is it only a comfortable status quo that I've never had the courage to challenge? I have a strange feeling, as if I'd been asleep for years and have suddenly woken. It's time. I rinse my cup in the sink, then I hop on a tram to join Marie, Robin, and Jean-Baptiste at the restaurant. I open the door of the brazier and plunge into the warm fog, the hubbub punctuated by the gurgle of the espresso machine. Jean-Baptiste loves this place. It's just under his old apartment. Plus, Marie and Robin don't live far away. They just had a baby, and an evening out from time to time, it's like a breath of fresh air for them. I pass the bar and say hi to Michael, the owner. He seems surprised to see me, but before I can kiss him hello, he's called away for an order from the other side of the counter. At the end of the room, Robin is waving to me. I sit down opposite him. At the end of the table, there's a pram. Marie's gone out to take a phone call. Is everything all right? Oh yes, I'm guessing it's more problems with the christening. If I'd had any idea what kind of nightmare it was going to be, I'd never had let that priest get his claws in my progeny's spiritual life. It's pointless, but it makes Marie happy. And I think of it as a good deed. They need fresh meat for their quotas. I really get the feeling that people are getting more worked up about this than they do about weddings. And yet you're not married, so we couldn't really say that you've got a reliable point of reference. Robin laughs. That's true, but I promise you I'm immune after all this nonsense. I lean over the pram. The baby is fast asleep. And how's my favorite little niece? You can see she enjoys the hustle and bustle just like her auntie. I feel a hand on my shoulder. It's Marie, she's back, phone in hand, we hug. Sorry, I had to take a call for work. You think they'd just be leaving all the files on my desk for me to deal with after my maternity leave. So how are things with you? Speak about the record. I breathe out a sigh. Well, you're not going to believe this, but I got a package from Ulysses this morning. Ulysses, your ex. Himself. That's surprising, isn't it? You broke up, 3 years ago? What was in the package? A record, a vinyl. That's all, no note, nothing? No, just a record without any explanation. Ah, yes, I remember the record store guy, right? I don't know why you guys broke up. He was really cool. Marie glares at Robin, who buries himself back in the wine list. So no note, nothing. It's odd, isn't it? Yes. What was on the record? Did you listen to it? Yes, a 45, no label, no idea of the artist or the group. I try to remember the music itself, but I can't seem to recall the melody. The sound was fairly pop, pretty modern. A whole load of memories came flooding back when I listened to it. It was really weird. I really felt like I was actually reliving the past, the night when Ulysses and I broke up. Still, it's a little out of order for him, no news for years, and he sends you a record now without any explanation. So anyway, what are you going to do? I'm going to investigate. I really need to find out what's going on. If Ulysses decided to send me a record after 3 years of radio silence, it must be important to him. I think I'll start by going round to his record store tomorrow on the way back from the office. But I thought Ulysses had left Bordeaux. He did, but I think that Mark, his former partner, is most likely person to know what's happened to him. Marie nods. Good thinking. Listen, I don't want to hurry you, but can we order so we can get home before the next feed? Aren't we going to wait for Jean Baptiste? Marie and Robin look at me bemused. Jean Baptiste? Yes, he was seeing some Chinese customers today, but he shouldn't be much longer. Alice, who's this Jean Baptiste? I don't know what to say. How can they not know who Jean Baptiste is? Jean Baptiste, my boyfriend, you know. We had dinner with you quite a few times. We even spent a weekend together this summer on the bay, don't you remember? Marie looks worried. Robin is glancing around nervously. I let out a shaky laugh. You're kidding me, right? Are you sure you're okay, Alice? This summer on the bay you were with an Arthur. You broke up 2 or 3 weeks after. You never introduced us to any Jean Baptiste. Robin nods in agreement. I don't understand. I don't remember any Arthur. My head is spinning. I stand up, spots dance in front of my eyes. Robin rushes to catch me by the shoulder. Alice, you're scaring me. Are you all right? Yes, I need some air. I turn and hurry through the brazier. Behind me I hear Marie say to Robin, let her go. We'll call her tomorrow. Then I'm out on the street. The cool night air helps me to collect my thoughts. A little further away on the sidewalk, I make out the familiar shape of Jean Baptiste. He's smoking a cigarette. The Jean Baptiste that I know stopped smoking. We stopped together. I fumble in my coat pocket. I pull out a packet of Galois half empty. I shouldn't be there. There's no rational explanation why I should have a packet of smokes on me. Unless Jean Baptiste has seen me. He smiles at me. I can't stay here staring at him from a distance. I have to take a decision, but I don't know if I should turn away or go and talk to him. I hesitate. Go nearer. I go nearer. Jean Baptiste rummages through his pockets and holds a lighter out to me. I notice that I still have the packet of cigarettes in my hand. I take one out and let him light it for me. Are you all right? The way he looks at me, his manner, they aren't those of someone who shared several years of my life. He doesn't remember me, us either. It's at this precise moment that something that was just an impression, a suspicion, a kind of out there thought which couldn't actually happen in real life strikes me full force. This man who I was making plans for the future with just yesterday is watching me with indifference, mildly disturbed by my distress. I'm a stranger to him and it hurts badly. And now there he is right in front of me waiting for me to answer. Try to have a conversation. Yes, fine, thanks. It's just that, how should I say it? My day's been emotional. I get exactly what you mean. We're on a slippery slope which I decide not to continue down. I don't know how I'll react if he asks me what's happened in my day, and I know he's about to do just that. Haven't we met already? Your face looks familiar. I don't think so. I'd remember you. Do you often drink here? He nods towards the window behind me. Maybe you just saw me in there sometime. I come here a lot. I don't know. Maybe. Probably. Jean Baptiste drops his cigarette and crushes it with his foot. Sorry, but I have to go. Do you want me to ask Michael to get you a taxi? No, that's kind, but it's fine. He starts back to the bistro, then changes his mind and returns to pick up his cigarette end. He takes a chance to look at me again, as if he was searching for an elusive memory or word on the tip of the tongue. He flashes me an embarrassed smile, accompanied by a good night, before disappearing into the bistro. I stay where I am, in the cold, dragging on my cigarette, my heart in my shoes. Then I turn away and head up the street toward the tram stop. The first thing I do when I get back to the apartment is bolt the door behind me. I had a feeling of being followed on my way home. I'm probably being a bit paranoid, but well, who knows? Someone breaking into my home during the night would really just top my day off. The second thing that I do is go into the bedroom and open Jean Baptiste's side of the closet. I'm not particularly surprised to find it full of my old clothes, things I thought I'd gotten rid of. I go out on the balcony and light a cigarette. As I stand musing, I look at the apartment and I'm aware of a number of small differences that I hadn't noticed earlier in the day. There's no phone charger or small coins in the bowl on the dresser in the hall. The old games console, which had never been plugged back in since the move, is no longer on its shelf under the TV. The big photo of New York has been replaced by a tattered old poster from a regional rock music festival. The record, though, still dominates the kitchen table exactly where I left it earlier in the day. It seems impossible, but it's as if by putting the 45 on the turntable, I truly returned to my past. As if by choosing to run after Ulysses the night we broke up, I hadn't met Jean Baptiste at the bar. As if I'd returned to a present where I'm single, where Jean Baptiste and I never met. I could try listening to the record again to get to the bottom of this, but I'm afraid of making things worse. If it really does have the power to change my past, it could have catastrophic consequences on my life. What do they call that again? The butterfly effect. I hope Mark will help me clear this all up. At least he should be able to tell me what happened to Ulysses. I grab my phone and leave an apologetic message for Marie, assuring her that everything's fine, that I'm sorry I slipped away so early. Then I crush up the cigarette and crawl under my covers in hope of sleep. St. Michael. I've realized that I hardly set foot in this district since I split up with Ulysses. The store that Mark shared with Ulysses is in a little semi-pedestrian street on a corner. I used to come here almost every day after my college classes a few years ago. When I push the door open, I'm assailed by the characteristic odor of old records, similar yet distinct from the smell of old books. The big speakers, fixed to the ceiling, blare out a strident fuzz. Guitar solo at a volume theoretically much too high for a business establishment. I've been capable of saying whether it was the same obscure 70s garage band or post-rock movement contemporaries trying to animate their elders. Mark is reading the sleeve with interest. Only when I reach the other side of the counter does he deign to look up. He smiles at me, then murmurs something incomprehensible in the din. I gesture to him that I can't hear anything, pointing at my ears. He flaps his hand at me to wait, then turns the volume on his amp down to something better adapted to conversation. I was saying they're a local band, pretty powerful, huh? I've signed them for an EP I just got the pressing. What's amazing with Mark is that even if we haven't seen each other for probably over a year, he behaves as if we spent yesterday evening together. Hello, Mark, are you okay? Everything's cool, thanks. And you? What brings you down here? Have you heard from Ulysses lately? No. Mark seems a little surprised at the question. Now that you mention it, it's been an age. The last I heard he was in Paris. But then I say last, that was 6 months ago. I called him for a customer who was looking for Magma Originals. After it's true, we've kind of lost contact since. Mark breaks off. I guess that in some way he must blame me a little for what happened between Ulysses and me, seeing as how our breakup also cost him his business partner. Anyway, So no news of Ulysses lately. But why do you ask? He sent me a record. He sent me a record. A record? Yes, no note, no explanation, no return address, nothing. Just a vinyl record in a package. To tell the truth, the only clue that told me that it came from him was his handwriting for the address. Mark watches me with an odd intensity. Did I spark his interest when I mentioned the record? Or is it something else, concern or fear? Could you describe the record to me? I can do better than that. I'm about to fish the record out of my bag when Mark gestures for me to stop. He hails someone who's rummaging the reggae Afrobeat box behind me. Hey, sir. He turns with an air of feigned innocence. He's a guy in his 50s. He wears a black leather biker jacket and snag matching pants. His hair is slicked back, rockabilly style. It's, considering his age, the improbable uniform black of a bottle of hair dye. Can I help you? The guy grumbles in discontent, shakes his head, and saunters toward the exit. Mark waits for the closing door to ring the bell hanging above it before continuing. Did that guy follow you by any chance? Follow me? Yes, follow you. How should I put it? Have you had the feeling that you're being watched since you received the record? Yes, I've had that feeling. Yes, I had the feeling of being followed yesterday evening on my way home. But while I figured I was being paranoid, why would somebody tail me? And anyway, why would you suspect that guy especially? Mark can't repress a smile. Two things: an old rockabilly who I don't know in my shop. They're an endangered species. I guarantee they all come in here, no exceptions, at least once a week for a coffee or a beer. They never buy anything, but they're cool and they always got amazing stories to tell. Okay, that seems like a bit of a stretch, but never mind. And a guy in leathers and boots going through the Afrobeat box for 10 minutes, if that's not suspicious. I burst out laughing. Okay, that is very suspicious, you're right. Mark leans over the counter to check who is actually in his shop. There's only a couple of students giggling in the depths of the shop, and a guy meticulously comparing the covers of 2 copies of Frank Zappa's Hot Rats. The headphones of the open access turntable clamped over his ears. Okay, the coast is clear. I slip the record from my bag and place it on the counter. It's a 45 white label, a test pressing. No scribe number in the groove. One of the 2 sides is a mirror side. Mark smiles. You haven't forgotten the jargon then. After all the time I spent with Ulysses, I think it's lodged in my brain forever. You can put it away, I know what it is. Really? It's not a white label. It's an actate, a single copy. That's why there's no matrix number. I put the record back in my bag. But I'm surprised you don't recognize it. Ulysses unearthed it a while before you split up. It was the only record he wanted to keep when he left, which meant I had to buy his share of the stock. I would have preferred that he take the psychedelic shelf. It would have saved me taking out a bank loan. Did you listen to it? Yes, I put it on once. On the headphones. That was quite enough for me. Oh yeah? Look, I'm no angel, right? I know the effect of psychedelics, mushrooms, LSD, messed saliva. I've tried pretty much everything. But I've never had a trip like the one that record took me on. What did you see? What did the record show you? Mark takes a deep breath and looks away. It's personal. It took me back to a moment in my life that I'd rather forget. A turning point, I guess you'd call it. Tell me more. Can you tell me more? No, sorry, I'd prefer not to go into detail. But you must know what I'm talking about. You listened to it, didn't you? There are quite a few legends going around about that recording, you know. Some people claim that it's the last recording of a Delta bluesman who made a pact with the devil. It's kind of the holy grail of record collectors, if you see what I mean. There are plenty of crazies who say it's got magical powers. If I were you, I'd be very careful. That record attracts trouble. And to be honest, it makes me pretty anxious about Ulysses. It's obviously the most precious thing he possesses. Him sending it to you by post like that, that's not a good sign. After everything you just told me, yes, it is worrying. Do you have his telephone number? The simplest thing would be to try to reach him for a start, right? Mark nods and picks up the handset. He hangs up a few seconds later. It's sending me direct to his answer phone telling me my correspondent's voice mailbox is full, which isn't totally surprising with Ulysses. We're interrupted by the sound of the bell which hangs above the door. A young punk covered in tattoos approaches the counter. Though bothered with any courtesy, she speaks directly to Mark. Do you still have tickets for Sonic Youth? Mark takes the tickets from beneath the counter and makes the sale. I gaze after the young woman as she leaves. Mark clears his throat loudly at me. He watches me with a smirk. I realized I was probably staring at his customer so hard that he noticed. That style would suit you. Do you think? I'm surprised to find myself considering the possibility. Then again, it's not as if my job gives me much leeway fashion-wise. I don't know, I'm not persuaded that my bosses would find it quite as cool as you do. What was in your head going into finance? I'm a personal financial advisor in a little city center bank in Bordeaux. It's not exactly what I'd call going into finance. Anyway, what were we saying? That Ulysses is impossible to reach, and that's not really surprising. I'll give you his address if you want. Do you go up to Paris sometimes for work? Mark grabs paper and pen. It can happen, but like once a year max. In any case, it's not going to happen anytime soon. Same for me, I just got back from vacation. I'd be kinda tricky to justify a trip to Paris. I've written down his number too, just in case. Mark gives me the paper. The first to hear anything calls the other, all right? I nod. Thanks, Mark. You should drop by more often. It's good to see you. As they say, don't be a stranger. You're right. You're right. I'll try to come by more often in the future. My apartment looks like a bomb site. I had sensed that something was wrong as soon as I entered the communal areas. The door of the apartment was already ajar when I pushed it open, and I prepared myself for the spectacle I was about to confront. Every square centimeter has been carefully searched, every closet emptied, every drawer turned out. I picked up a cushion which lays on the living room floor and replaced it on the couch before dropping down next to it dejected. I realized that Mark's warnings weren't unfounded. Someone really wants that record, and that person is ready to enter my home while I'm away to achieve their ends. What? Was it the old rockabilly who was spying on me in the record store? He didn't seem particularly dangerous. On the other hand, a record with the power to change the past. I totally understand that someone might want to get a hold of it, even if that means breaking a few laws along the way. To be honest, I find it a bit difficult to understand this desire to change the past. I guess that personally I'd prefer to move forward. And anyway, it would be playing with fire, right? The record has already stolen my relationship with Jean-Baptiste. I'm going to have to figure out how it works if I want to get my life back. At the moment, the only solid lead I have is Ulysses. I take out my phone and dial the number that Mark gave me. Maybe I'll be luckier than him, you never know. Apparently not, because I'm also welcomed by the recorded operator's voice, telling me in a monotone voice that your correspondent's voicemail box is full. Beneath the number, there's an address in Saint Nguyen. I know what I have to do. The advantage of my enforced celibacy is that the logistics and organization of the journey are much simpler. I call Robin to let him know that I'm going. I explain the situation as rationally as possible, omitting, of course, any tales of pacts with the devil. He's kind enough to agree to take care of getting my locks replaced. I also leave a message for my boss at the bank to notify him of my absence. The time to throw a few things in a suitcase and jump on a tram, and I'm at the station. 1 hour later, I board a train for Paris. Chapter 2. Okay, so I am going to all right, I just put in I'll be right back. I'm just going to take a quick break for a minute and we will finish up with chapter 3. We'll go up to chapter 3 when I get back. Okay, chapter 2. Chapter 2 is Paris. I call Rob and let him know I'm going. I explain the situation as rationally as possible, omitting, of course, any tales or pacts of the devil. He's kind enough to agree. Lots to place asleep. Okay. Oh, so that's the log. Okay. So acetate, oh, okay, is known as, okay, so this here is what the words are. Okay. So acetate, also known as lacquer, a method of cutting a record that allows the creation of a single copy for test listenings before beginning large-scale duplication. The dream of many collectors would be to unearth unreleased recordings cut on this type of support. And Hot Rats was an album from Frank Zappa's jazz period released in 1971. Magma, French jazz rock band led by drummer Christian Vader. I'll go into more explanations after. Sonic Youth, New York band composed of the couple Kim Gordon bass guitar and Thurston Moore guitar, and of Lee Ronaldo guitar accompanied by Steve Shelley on drums from 1986 on. The Do, French-Finnish duo who could be called indie pop for lack of a better description. White label, English term to describe the test pressing of vinyl record made for quality checking before large-scale production. Unlike records intended for sale, the test pressings do not generally have a printed sticker on the central label, which is often left blank, hence the designation white label. So they're treasures. Frank Zappa, American guitarist, singer, and composer. Okay, so I never thought to look at that. Okay, a ray of light seeping between the curtains wakes me. It was 11 p.m. when I reached Monte Parnasse last night, and I checked into the first little hotel I'd stumbled on when I left the station. I checked the time, 11 o'clock. I haven't slept this late for years. Of course, after recent events, sleep hadn't exactly come easy. My window looks out over Boulevard Raspail and gives me a superb view of Paris in a downpour. Perfect weather for my trip to flea markets of Saint Ouen in search of Ulysses. As I dress, I realize that the clothes I tossed into my suitcase the night before are completely unsuited for the rigors of the Parisian climate. A problem I'll have to remedy fast if I don't want to struggle against the cold and wet as I trek around the city. I considered taking the record with me, but I decide it's probably secure in the safe in my room. As the rain lets up a little, I walk to a local brasserie that I used to go to occasionally as a student. Usually when I come to Paris, it's just a quick return trip to head office of the bank I work for in La Défense. It's pleasant to be able to enjoy the capital without constant stress, even if I'm not exactly on vacation. Maybe it's a matter of context, I don't know, but I think to myself that this could be a great opportunity to hook up with some of my old college friends. I sit on a terrace under the awning, light a cigarette, and order a croquet monsieur and a coffee. I mentally catalog my old friends and realize that those I haven't lost track of have, like me, moved out to the provinces. Of course, there's my old pal Frank Duval. Last I heard, he still lives here. I could call him, see if he wants to meet up for a drink. Call Frank. I tell myself that a bit of moral support wouldn't hurt. Frank and I, we've known each other for so long, and I feel a little ashamed of myself for not catching up with him more often. This is the time to fix that. I grab my phone and dial his number. He tells me he'd love to see me, and we agree on a meeting place for a drink later in the evening. I look forward to it happily. I finish my croquet monsieur, pay the bill, and set off toward the nearest subway entrance. The rain is falling again when I get to St. Yuen. The address that Mark gave me is stall 73 in Jules Vallée Market. First, I deal with my most pressing problem and go into the first thrift shop I come across. There's no shortage of them here in St. Yuen. I quickly rummage through the overflowing racks of eclectic garments, trying to find something practical, cheap, and warm. I select an old coat along with a fur collar. It's not exactly the type of thing I usually wear, but I think to myself, after all, why not? I slip it on, just my size. The young woman at the cash desk assures me that it looks fabulous. A few minutes later, a few oros lighter, but ready to face a fall drizzle, I head out in search of Ulysses' stall. The neighborhood is a real maze, and I'm going in circles for some time before I finally stumble on the entrance to the Jules Vallée Market. It's well into the afternoon, and some of the stalls have already begun to close up shop. I hope I'm not going to pay for my lie-in by finding myself facing a closed metal shutter. I work my way down a lane to stall 73. Unfortunately, instead of the old record stall I had hoped to find, the place is taken by a bookseller. A bit further along, there's a stall selling 1950s furnishing, which also has a few boxes of old records. Above the storefront, a sign announces Patty's Store, Hardware and Records. Maybe the owner, a young woman who looks like Betty Page in Intimidator, will be able to help me. On the other hand, the bookseller is hurriedly moving his boxes of books inside. The bookseller, a mustached old man, watches me with interest, probably trying to decide whether he should come over to me or let me go to him. I decide to relieve his indecision and go over to him. Good afternoon. Pierre Dupont. Good to meet you. He holds out a hand, I shake it. Are you interested in old books? Can I help you with something? Yes, at least maybe. I'm looking for a stall that sells vinyl records. The address I was given is your pitch. I show him the paper with the address. Ah, yes, I remember him, Ulysses. A nice boy. He was doing some research into the Thelma. He gave up his stall to me when he left Paris. Thelma, what's that? Yes, you know, the occult movement founded by Crowley, among others. When you say Crowley, it just brings Black Sabbath to mind, to be honest. Aleister Crowley, an Englishman, he wrote the Liber Alvaligis. You must have heard of it. There are plenty of fictional works that refer to it, a bit like Lovecraft or Edgar Allan Poe. Do what thou wilt shall be whole of the law. I've got a very nice copy, if you like, an American first edition in excellent condition. But if you're really interested in the subject, the Theopists are much more informative than Crowley. If I were you, I'd begin with Bovinsky instead of wasting your time with the melodramatic Satan worshippers. He grabs a thick leather-bound volume labeled Isis Unveiled from the shelf behind him. I realize that the conversation is getting out of hand. He starts trying to sell me his merchandise. I'll never get him back on track. I have to refocus this discussion fast. Press for an answer about Ulysses. So I'm sorry, but I'm not interested in your books. I just want to find my friend. The old man looks crushed. He must be a real fanatic. Pierre Dublo. Ah, I see. Well, young lady, all I know for sure is that he let me have his pitch. When I asked him why he wanted to give up such a great pitch, I think he said something about London to continue his research. I'll have to admit I wasn't really concerned. After all, it's none of my business. Anyway, that's all I can tell you. But you should ask Patricia. She's got a stall a bit further down the row. He points at a stall of 1950 furnishings. It's called Shakes Patty. She might be able to tell you more, considering that they were seeing a lot of each other, she and your friend, if you know what I mean. The bookseller looks at his watch. If you'll excuse me, it's time to shut up shop. I don't have any advice for you, but you should hurry if you want to talk to Patty. And if you're ever looking for a particular publication, do let me know. Thank you, Mr. Duplot. Good evening. I know what I have to do. I approached the young woman who was writing in a large notebook. The day accounts, probably. Hello, I guess you're Patty? She looks at me and answers with a slight Italian accent. Patrizia, Patty's for the tourist. What can I do for you? I'm looking for the owner of the old record store in Pitch 73, Ulysses. The new stallholder told me you knew him. Patrizia gives a broad smile as she gazes at me. Let me guess, Alice, right? She bursts out laughing at my startled expression, delighted to have astounded me, but without a trace of spite. It's funny, you're not at all how I imagined you'd be. But how? Oh, it's simple. Ulysses told me about you, of course. You really screwed up his head when you left him, you know. But he's the one who left me. How do you two know each other? He took stall 73 about 3-4 years ago? He was just next door and seemed nice, so I went over to say hello and we became friends. Something tells me they were more than just friends. I'm reluctant to ask her. Something tells me you were more than just friends, right? Yes, we were having sex, your man and I. He even lived at my place for a while when he first arrived in Paris. But it didn't work out. Patrizia heaves a theatrical sigh, intensely Italian. No, but it had nothing to do with you, my dear. We weren't meant to last. Ulysses wasn't really my type, if you know what I mean. Patrizia gives me a knowing smile and continues talking before I really had the chance to figure out what she's trying to tell me. And I have to say that this hippie music got on my nerves pretty quickly. Let me guess, you're more of a Gramps or Meteors type of girl, right? Exactly. We could see eye to eye on the Sonics and the Kinks, but gave us pretty small common ground. And of course, I soon realized that he was still hung up on you. Anyway, we broke up, but we stayed on good terms. He's not the type to hold a grudge, or Ulysses. Asked Patricia about the record. Did he by any chance mention a record to you, a rare vinyl? A record which had something to do with Aleister Crowley, maybe? Oh yes, of course, his mystery record. I found it in his things, but he never wanted me to listen to it. I didn't push him, probably some weird psychedelic thing if I know him. Patricia rummages through her cell phone bag and pulls out her cell phone. She checks the time. It's time to close up. Do you have plans for this evening? Her question catches me unawares. I plan to meet a friend for drinks. Why do you ask? That's a shame. I could have introduced you to someone who might have answers to your questions. I can cancel with Frank easy enough. I can always see him some other time. On the other hand, do I really want to spend the evening with Patricia and this mystery person? Sorry, but what do you mean by someone who will have the answers to my questions? An old musician that I know. Ulysses spent some time with him before he left. Maybe he can clue you in better than I can. What do you say? All right. Just give me a minute to call my friend and let him know. I move away to call Frank. He's a bit disappointed, but he seems distracted. I have to meet him tomorrow, but unfortunately this is his last evening in Paris. A pity. I promise to make it up to him next time. I go back to Patricia, who's waiting patiently for me to hang up. She smiles at me. Help me shut up shop? I help Patricia stow away the record crates and small pieces of furniture that were beneath the awning. Then she pulls down the metal shutter. Then we head toward the way out. 3 hours and 2 gin and tonics later, I'm still waiting to meet Patricia's mystery man. We left Jules Vallet's market and we caught a metro, then another. Patricia had steered me to a grotty bar in a little street on the 11th arrondissement near Bastille. The music is an eclectic mix of garage, rockabilly, and psychedelic, blaring out at an almost deafening volume, and the extremely reasonable price of drinks seem to be the major selling points of the joint. We found Patricia's friends. We quickly hit it off. Paul and John are record store owners. They recall meeting Ulysses when he was in Paris and going out with Patricia. This doesn't particularly surprise me. Ulysses tends to stick in your mind. Justine works at the town hall in the 8th arrondissement and Claudia in a clothes shop in Chalette. Luke, who will be getting on for 50, is part of the technical crew at the Olympia. We talk a lot about music. We chat a little bit about our lives. Paul tries to flirt mildly with me, but Patricia freezes him with a look and he stops, a little embarrassed. When I ask Patricia which of her friends I should question about Ulysses, she tells me that Enzio isn't there yet, that he'll be there later after work. I'm ordering another drink when I feel Patricia's hand on my arm. She speaks into my ear above the hubbub. Come on, I'm going to introduce you to Enzo. I follow her to the end of the bar to find that a new arrival has joined the little group. A man rather advanced in years, dressed in a velvet suit with a flowery shirt. He gives a shout of laughter, an easy smile creasing his white bearded face. His presence is magnetic. The image of an old wizard runs through my head, but I have a sense that this man is very down to earth, rooted in reality and delighting in life. Well, I'm learning to pronounce a little bit of French. Ah, Patricia. Bengacqui? He kisses the young woman affectionately like an old uncle kissing his favorite niece, which makes me wonder if they may be related in some way. Then he turns to me. Good evening. I think we don't know each other, yes? No, I'm Alice. Nice to meet you. He speaks with a strong Italian accent, which strengthens my idea of a family connection. Enzo, I don't know if you remember Ulysses. You know, I introduced you. At the mention of my ex, a shadow passes over the old man's smiling face. Alice is looking for him, and I suggested that she meet you, seeing as you and Ulysses got on so well. Do you know what happened to him after he left Paris? Enzo gestures me to follow him. Come with me. We're going somewhere we can talk without shouting. Enzo and I walk out of the bar and end up the road into a little courtyard. Enzo sits on a bench and I sit down next to him. He lights a cigarette, then offers me the pack. I'm not going to make any bones about it. If I mention a certain record of 45 with a white sleeve, well, I'm caught off guard by this question. Should I be wary of this man, or can I trust him? Yes, I know the record you're talking about. It's one of the reasons I'm trying to find Ulysses. I suppose it's because of this record that he got in contact with you, right? Yes and no. And as you have guessed, yes, I listened to the record a long time ago. But the fact that Ulysses and I met is really just by chance or destiny. Have you seen the film Les Cercles Rouges? It rings a bell. Yes, it's an old French crime movie, right? With Alain Delon, if I remember right. Yes, and Bourvil and Yvon Montand. At the start of the film, Jean-Pierre Melville, the director, invented a quote which he attributed to Guatemala, and which I think perfectly applies to all the people who have listened to that record. When men, even unknowingly, are to meet one day, whatever may befall each, whatever the diverging paths, on the said day, they will inevitably come together in the red circle. Seeing my confusion, Enzo adds, there aren't so many of us to have listened to the record, but our paths keep crossing, as if our fates were linked. I suppose you've listened to the record too. You must understand what I'm talking about. Believe it or not, I really did meet Ulysses by chance. What were the chances that he would rent the pitch next to my nieces, or that they would hit it off? So much that she'd introduce him to me because we shared a passion for psychedelic music. It's true, that's strange. Why are you looking for him? He contacted me by mail a few days ago. I knew straight away that something wasn't right. He wanted to know more about the record, to know where it came from, to know how it worked. He told me about you, you know. Really? I mean, we split up years ago. He hasn't forgotten you. The last time I saw him, he talked about London. He had a solid lead. Yes, that's what the new owner of his stall told me. But you know London, it's big. You said a solid lead. Can you be more precise? Enzo looks troubled. I'm sorry, Ulysses dropped by to see me. I was at work. He said something about a DJ, something Putman, I think. A DJ? Yes, on the radio. Ah, a radio presenter. Did he say which station? That doesn't help me much, but it's better than nothing, I suppose. If I'd known you'd be looking for him, I'd have asked for more details. I think Enzo has told me all he knows about Ulysses, which isn't much. I could cut the conversation short and suggest we go back to the bar. I could also ask him to tell me his story. He hasn't told me how he came to have the record. You haven't told me how you came to have the record. It's a long story. Are you sure you want to listen to the ramblings of an old man? I smile. Yes, since I asked, of course I'm interested. Very well, I warned you. I played in Musica Psychedelica band when I was young in Italy. We played a lot of concerts. We even took part in some of the big festivals at the time. Glastonbury, the Isle of Wight. We weren't as good as Airplane or The Dead, but we weren't bad. We released a record with a little label over there. What was your band called? Cuore della Terra. That means Heart of the Earth. Before I can find the words to tell him that the name meant nothing to me, Enzo rescues me from my confusion by adding, "Oh, it's normal you've never heard of us. We didn't sell much. When I'm in a record store, I always check the 60s box, hoping to find a copy. But I've only come across 4 since the band broke up. I guess the unsold ones are in a warehouse somewhere, or they've just been destroyed. It came out in 1971. The golden age was almost over. If we'd started a few years earlier, we would have had a chance, at least I think so. Anyway, we were discovered by Vertigo. Philips' experimental label? That's it. They were already a prestige label at the time. We thought that if we signed with them, our success was guaranteed. Giuseppe, our guitarist, promised them a really ambitious concept double album. They just released 666 from Aphrodite's Child, and they thought we had the chops to make the same type of album, but with our Italian feel. The record company had sent us this Russian to deal with the production. Sergei Ivanich. A really talented guy. The stuff he could pull out of a studio recording, it was miraculous. But how should I say it? He was crazy. Crazy in what way? Where do I start? He took incredible amounts of drugs. He was unpredictable. Giuseppe adored him straight away. Me, I preferred to keep my distance. One day he arrived at the studio with the record. He introduced it as the ultimate psychedelic trip, better than ayahuasca. Giuseppe listened to it first. He convinced the other members of the band to listen too. I didn't put up much of a fight. After all, it was just a record. It couldn't be worse than listening to the B-side of White Light, White Heat on acid, right? Enzo stops. I turn toward him. His eyes are damp. I realize that the record probably stole a piece of his life too. A piece of him. The record stole someone from you, too. Yes, you could say that. The record made me relive my past. Before I listened to it, I was married, and my wife, Julia, was expecting her first child. When I came back to reality, she was dead. She was dead in a car accident 2 years earlier. And it was my fault. I never knew that Giuseppe and the others saw when they listened to the record. Or did they change their past? I never asked them. Of course, I listened again and again to the record the next day after I realized it had destroyed my life, my familia. Did you succeed? No, the record never again gave me a moment when I could have stopped the accident. But each time I listened, my present changed, bringing me back to a reality that was further and further from my memories. I didn't care. All I wanted was to get my Julia back. But no matter what I tried to change, she was dead and I was in the studio recording a record. What happened after? The band collapsed. I needed to grieve and no one understood what I was going through. No one could understand, really. When I resurfaced a few months later, I was a pizza cook in a restaurant in the 11th arrondissement. But seeing as there was no more band to promote it, Vertigo never released it. Giuseppe was the only one to stay in music. He had a little success in Italy in the 80s, a disco track under an American-sounding stage name. Then my sister moved to France after she separated from her daughter's father. Her daughter, Patrizia, I suppose? Enzio smiles. There you go, now you know everything. Do you know what happened to the record afterward? When I stopped trying to change the past, the record stole back to how it was. I pretty much stopped going to the studio. It was too painful. Like I told you, the project was abandoned. Sergei went to London to work on other records for Vertigo. The other band members went back to Italy, and me, I stayed in France. After all, there was no one waiting for me back home. We sit in silence on the bench. Enzo has lit another cigarette. He finishes it, crushes it out, and we go back to the bar. The place has started to empty. The end of the evening is drawing near. The background music, firmly rock and roll when we left, has mellowed into soul. Probably Al Green or Wilson Pickett. Our group have migrated to a table at the back of the bar. I pick up my barely touched drink and sit down. The ice has melted a pity. Enzo chats to Paul. He looks so cheerful as if nothing was wrong. I'm trying to organize my thoughts when I feel a hand on my thigh. Patrizia sits next to me. Was Enzio able to help you? I consider the question for a few seconds. Honestly, he mostly just confirmed what I already knew. That said, he was kind enough to tell me about his past. The record stole his wife from him, his familia, as he says. At least Jean-Baptiste is still alive in this reality, but it reaffirmed my belief that the record shouldn't be used lightly. Who knows what strange version of me I could find myself in. I realize that Patrizia is still waiting for my answer. Yes, thank you for introducing me to your uncle. He confirmed that I was on the right track. That's great. And it let us get to know each other better too. We were interrupted by Justine, who's getting up, signaling us that she is going, closely followed by Claudia and Paul. We exchange kisses. Luke, John, Enzo seem deep in heated discussion. Patrizia turns to me. I'm going to head off soon too. Can I offer you a last drink at my place? I live 3 blocks away. I wasn't born yesterday. The signals that Patrizia has been sending me all evening are pretty clear. It's clearly not just the last drink that she's offering. On one end, I could see it as cheating on Jean-Baptiste. On the other, this moment will probably be erased when I listen to the record again. I I flirted with a few women during my first years at college, but I never took it all the way. Maybe I was too conventional. Maybe I was scared of being ostracized. This moment outside my true reality, wouldn't it be the right time to try something new without risking the consequences? Spend the night with Patricia. Okay, a last drink. I put my hand over hers, with pleasure. So let's go. Patricia gets up and says goodbye to her uncle and friends. I do the same, then follow her out, and we are swallowed up by the Parisian night. I let Patricia guide me through the narrow streets. After several hundred meters, I have the feeling of being watched again. Patricia noticed and asked me what's wrong. I feel like someone's following us. Do you think? She looks around. Oh, you're right, I know this guy. Further down the sidewalk, I make out a shape of a man in a leather jacket. Hey, stop following us, Eddie, we've seen you. Eddie? Yes, actually, it's Jean-Luc Granville, but he prefers to be called Eddie Black. He's a loser, a has-been. After a hesitating moment, he comes toward us. When he passes beneath the street lamp, I recognize his face. It's the old rockabilly who was listening to my conversation with Mark yesterday in Bordeaux. Sorry, Patty, I didn't want to bother you. I just wanted to speak to the young lady. Well, first, the young lady has a name. She's called Alice. Secondly, it's the middle of the night in a back street. Do you really think it's the right moment to ask anyone anything? You have something to say to my friend. You say it in a decent time and place, okay? But there's no but. Go on, get out of here. Eddie hesitates again, opens his mouth to speak, thinks again, and then, looking sheepish, heads off to the other direction. Patricia watches him until he turns the corner and is out of sight. He lives in the neighborhood. I bump into him a lot. He's not a bad guy, but he's kind of clueless. He wouldn't stop hassling Ulysses about some rare record. It must be the record you told me about earlier. It worries me a bit. I have to confess it does worry me a bit, all the same. He followed me from Bordeaux. I already caught him listening in on my conversations, and my apartment was searched. Searched? So it has something to do with Ulysses' mystery record. Did you bring it with you? No, it's in a safe place, don't worry. I'm glad I decided to leave it in the safe in my hotel room. That said, I really can't see Eddie breaking into someone's home. Either he's had enough of chasing after the record, or someone else is looking for it too. If it's as rare as all that, I guess Eddie can't be the only one trying to get hold of it. I don't know what Ulysses got himself into, but I'd be careful if I were you. Patricia stops in front of a turn-of-the-century building with a coach gate. Well, here we are. She rummages in her bag for her keys, and we climb the 6 flights up to her little apartment under the eaves. The interior reflects her perfectly lush and Baroque, with lots of 1950s furniture. Patricia kicks off her heels and slips off her jacket and a bag in the entry hall before choosing a record to put on the turntable. She directs me to do the same while she goes and gets us a drink. I sit down on her shabby old sofa. The crackling of the record gives way to the smooth voice of a crooner, accompanied by a few sultry piano notes, probably Sinatra. Patricia returns with 2 cocktail glasses full of clear liquid, olives bobbling at the bottom of each. I found the makings of a gin martini. I hope you like it. She puts the glasses on the coffee table and snuggles up against me. After all the signals she's been sending me this evening, her attentions couldn't be clearer. If I really don't want this night to finish in her bed, I need to tell her right now. With that in mind, I'll need to be extremely tactful if I don't want to upset her. I could also take the lead and show her that we're on the same wavelength. I take her face gently between my hands and press a shy kiss onto her mouth, which she returns with fervor. We stand on the couch for a while intertwined. Then she takes my hand and guides me to her bedroom. I'm awoken by the sound of water running through the ancient pipes and the ray of sunshine which filters through the blinds. I've hardly had time to surface and stretch up in bed when Patricia puts her head around the door. "Oh, you're awake." "Yes," I answer, a stifling yawn. "Do you mind if I finish getting ready in here? I have to open my stall at 11. I shake my head. Patricia, hair wrapped in a towel, crosses the room and opens the blinds, then the window. The sun is shining brightly outside, and the early fall chill dispels my sleepiness. She sits down in front of her dressing table and begins to apply her makeup. "So then you're leaving for London next, are you?" "That's right. As soon as I've dropped into my hotel and got myself a train ticket." "Do you have something to go on to find Ulysses over there?" "Your uncle told me about a radio presenter, somebody Putman, but he wasn't sure. Except for that, not much, unfortunately." Patricia's hand, which holds her mascara, freezes, and she seems to be thinking something over. "I'll give you one of his contacts, a record store guy. He came and spent a weekend in Paris with us when we were together, your man and I. A really good guy, you'll see." She grabs a notepad and an eyeliner which lies on her dressing table and notes down a name and address. "Alan O'Reilly?" "Oh, you wouldn't know him. It was me who introduced him to Ulysses. He's an old friend of mine, actually." I lay the paper on the bedside table. "Thank you anyway. At least I know where to start when I get to London." Patricia gives me a big smile in the mirror. "You're welcome. Plus, I had a great evening, and a just as lovely night." "Thanks, I had a great time too. Sorry this will be a bit noisy." Patricia seizes the hairdryer and begins to subdue her damp mass of brown curls. I watch her distractedly, trying to put some order in my thoughts. At least I've got somewhere to aim for in London, that's something. "Right, well, I really have to run." She gets up, leans over, and kisses my cheek. "There's coffee in the machine, and I left you a set of keys on the table. Take your time, have a shower if you want, and if you can drop the keys in the postbox on the way out, that would be great." "Thanks." An hour or so later, I leave the apartment too and head toward my hotel. 1 o'clock, I'm on a train heading to London, arriving at St. Pancras in just over 2 hours, which gives me the time to find a hotel and prepare my search. As there's probably no better way of finding a record store owner than talking to other record store owners, I'll begin by making a list of stores to visit. I already have a name and an address, Alan O'Reilly. That's better than nothing. I'll take the opportunity to ask a few questions about the record too. Maybe I'll be able to get more precise information about this Putman that Enzo mentioned. After my exciting night, I've spent a hectic morning, running from subway to subway to catch the first train, and on an empty stomach. I'm going to be roaming London with my suitcase. I really should eat something first. I grudgingly decide to take a wander down to the buffet card to buy myself a sandwich, which is unlikely to be tasty, but which will certainly be very expensive. Instinctively, I check the record is tucked well away at the bottom of my bag and begin the trek to car 13. I'm ordering a ham sandwich and a cup of insipid brown liquid which claims to be coffee when I notice a poster suggesting that maybe it would be a good idea to invest in a travel card. I check my wallet to see if by chance I have a forgotten Oyster card with a few credits on it from my last conference in London. As I feared, it must be on a shelf somewhere in my apartment in Bordeaux. Unless, of course, it simply doesn't exist at all in this reality. The steward behind the counter tells me that he's sorry, but they're all out of prepaid cards. I've resigned myself to a long wait in line on my arrival in the bustle of King's Cross Station, when the person behind me offers me her card. I turn surprised. She's in her 30s with short hair and a trouser suit. Look, that's really kind of you, thanks. Out of courtesy, I add. Can I reimburse you for it? Oh, there's no need, really. Her French is excellent, despite the touch of foreign accent which I can't place. If you're really resolved on an exchange of resources, buy me a coffee and we'll call it even. I'm almost out of cash and it'll avoid me paying the card charges for such a small amount. And anyway, I wouldn't mind a bit of company. It'll help pass the time, don't you think? She holds out a hand. Eva, nice to meet you. Alice. I shake her hand, nod, and order another espresso for her. I join my generous benefactor who's taken a place near the counter. I slide the coffee to her. She slides the travel card to me. So tell me, Alice, what brings you to London? I take a minute to watch her before answering. This Eve is a bit odd. I'm certainly not going to share my private business with a stranger, no matter how generous she is. Plus, there's nothing to convince me that she's not the umpteenth person who wants to steal Ulysses' record. Be evasive. I'm looking for someone close who I've lost contact with. Apparently, he might have gone to London. Oh, that's exciting. Someone close, maybe an ex-fiancé? Not exactly. We were never engaged, but we did live together, yes. That's a romantic story. I like it. I wonder why you wanted to make contact. Let me guess. I'd say that you've lived through something that's changed your view of the world and you're looking for answers. Is that it? I involuntarily stiffen. So in fact, she knows exactly who I am, and her presence in the line was no coincidence. She scrutinizes me, her intense eyes, too intense, too piercing, making me extremely uneasy, as if she could plumb the depths of my soul with a glance. I try to regain control of the conversation by turning the question back on her. And you, what brings you to London? Well, I guess you could say I lost something a few years ago, an object that was priceless to me and my organization. After finally tracking it down very recently, I found that it had changed hands before I could, let's say, secure a transaction, if you see what I mean. If I had any doubts about my companion's intentions before, they are now crystal clear. I could try to feign ignorance and slip away, but I don't believe Eva's the type to make a scene in public. I could also finish this game of make-believe and confront her head-on about the record. Right, let's stop this little game and speak frankly. I do actually have in my possession a rare record which was sent to me without any explanation of what would happen if I listened to it. The record stole my fiancé from me, and I have no intention of letting it go before I, get back to my reality. If you know how I should do that, I'm all ears. Eva gives me a half smile tinged with a mixture of melancholy, weariness, and maybe a touch of irony. I'm not going to lie to you or comfort you with false hope. The chances of you managing to undo the effects of the record are extremely slim. The choir of the gods is not so easily mastered. However, if your ties with your fiancé were erased so easily, haven't you considered that perhaps it's because they weren't as strong as you thought? How can you claim that when we don't even know each other? I don't need to know you to know that you're a lemming, like most of the people around us. You know, men and women who are truly capable of taking their fate into their own hands are rare. It requires a strength of the soul that I don't discern in you. You'll forgive me. Anyway, I don't feel that you're in the right state of mind to talk at present, but something tells me that we'll meet again. And next time I hope with all my heart that you'll be ready to return that which belongs to me. She turns to the window and watches the English countryside rush past, cutting off the conversation. I wait undecided for a moment before taking my sandwich and my coffee and leaving the buffet car. The first thing I notice when I get back to my seat is that my case is gone. I understand better why Eva had redoubled her efforts to keep me talking. I conclude that she must have one or several accomplices, unlike Eddie Black, who seems to be operating alone. I don't expect I'll see my case again, which in any case contained nothing of any value, just some toiletries and a few clothes I'd brought with me. The record is safe in my handbag with my papers. My neighbor in the next seat looks like she fell fast asleep, and I don't have the heart to wake her to ask her if she'd noticed anything. As a salve to my conscience, I question the two teenagers in the seat across the aisle, but they shrug their shoulders and murmur sorry. I drop into my seat, struggling against panic. The thought of finding the conductor and telling him about my problem crosses my mind, but I banish it quickly. And what if that's what they expect me to do? I admit to myself with some difficulty that the conversation with Eva has already shaken me up. Eva will certainly be on the lookout for her first chance to get hold of the record. I'll have to be doubly careful now. The last half hour of my journey drags past in a feverish suspense. When the train finally begins to pull into the station, I leave my seat to be near the exit, ready to disappear into the crowd as soon as it stops and the door opens. And chapter 3 is where I'm going to end this stream. Okay, so this is going to be the end of this stream. And if anybody has tuned in, I thank you for watching. And I look forward to doing episode 2 of Across the Grooves, because it looks like there's a little bit of a mystery involved here, and we've made it to chapter 3. So we'll see in part 2 how we're going to finish off episode 2. We'll finish off the story. We've done two chapters, so we're going to do them in chapters of 2. So for now, I wish everybody a good night.